start now the work. The first order here. This is the pants, jeans the customer brought for shortening. This is one of these interesting finishes. She wants them to be done as original. That's how it's done. So this is just overlocking, and we're going to shorten it for 3/4 of inch, which is about 2 centimeters here. The first thing we're going to do is marking. Okay. That's about 2 centimeters here. It's going to be easy, this one. And I'll transfer the mark into this side actually. Can you see? We've got it here. We don't need to leave any extra fabric, any seam allowance, anything. It's very straightforward. But we have to adjust the top of jeans. See how that alignment works. And then when it's done, measuring the bottom again against each other, the top again, a couple of times up and down, and making sure it's all fine, flat, even. I'm gonna use one of my good scissors. It's important to have nice, good, sharp ones here. And just measuring these 2 centimeters on 2 sides. We don't need to do any fabric, leave any fabric, obviously. There. And we don't need to go inside and do the same marking on all layers. We can just go ahead and cut it, because this is straightforward shortening without any hemming. That's how it looks like after a cut. Nice and fine straight cut. Now we're going to overlock the edges, and before overlocking we can probably reinforce a bit these side seams, and then overlocking after that. We've got the machine on gray thread. I threaded that with gray, and this is inside seam, but it's very important to reinforce first. Just do that. One outside is really secure. Sometimes you don't even need to do that, because it stays there, it won't open up. But I'll go over just in case. Some of the customers are really demanding sometimes. Let's do the best possible job. And the same on the other side, on the other leg. And on the top stitching. One is enough, only to one top stitching, not four. Okay, so it's done. That's row cut finish. Now we're going to do overlocking, and then we can go. Overlocking is sometimes easier when it's you turn the garment inside out, but depends, you know. Especially if the garment is really thin cut, the legs are a bit thin. So easier, much easier to work when it's inside out. So we can just do that, turn it inside out. Pressing time, the most exciting part of the work. let's do the other one. All the alterations, one by one. All right, now, this one is not as complicated. It's a very ordinary job, but still, we're gonna go through all of them. I'll show you first what's happening. This is a zip. This is actually doggy bag, big doggy bag. It's probably a huge dog. Look at that, big size, 1 by 1.5 meters. And it's got an opening from one side, so it's only a zipper came off. Zipper is coming off in the middle. And interestingly, it's coming off from both sides. So what we're gonna do is just put the zipper back. Very straightforward job. We don't need to spend too much time on this type of job, but we'll just need a strong stitching here, strong thread, and off we go. As you can see, the zipper is not done properly either here. I can only see one seam along. One seam, if I can show you that in detail. Yeah, that's why it's coming off. Just had a customer, she was really collecting something and she was really happy. Actually collecting the jeans we just finished, so I have to take it off, on and off all the time. My earpods are coming off. So let's continue with the job we're doing. That's the thread I'm gonna go with. Can you see that? And it's really good thickness. It's got a good thickness. I wanted you to see the thickness first. Can you see that? It's probably twice the thickness of ordinary cotton we use here. When you use thick thread on the top, you better select something thinner on the bobbin. Never use thick and thick, top and the bottom. Even if it's not done twice, the stitching in our shop, in our business, we try to make it better than it was originally. So it's not going to take huge time of yours. So if you can do the second stitching all the way through, go for that because it makes it much better. So I'm going to start from one end, which includes the whole part as well. So not only around the hole, just from one end to the other end, all the way to the width. The other one, third job today. This is a bit different. I would say more complicated than the other two. Let's have a look first. We have a bomber jacket here, which we have to fix the holes at the back, actually on two side seams. I'll show you in detail. That's one side. As you can see, there's a hole here, but the jacket has a lining as well. It's a padded jacket. This type of bomber jackets are really very much in now, so the lady wants to wear it, obviously, be more fashionable. So that's one hole on one side, and you can see the back, the lining. It's lined, and there is some reinforcement inside as well. It's a bit padded inside, so I can feel that layer. And the other side as well. Another hole on this side. So just take the pins off. It's only for showing where the holes are. All right, small one there, but small or big doesn't matter. We have to go through, go inside to fix it. We're gonna start from opening the inside seam on the lining, and we need a section. It's about 4 inches section, 10 centimeter, 10 to 15 centimeter, I would say. This is the big hole, big enough to work through. And the other layer, the third layer, which is forming, that type of layer, warming, it's inside, more attached to the lining, which is easier, makes it easier for us to work with. So it's going to stay with the lining attached there, and we have right access to the outside layer from here. Lots of fraying happens here, so I would probably cut it away. Easy to work with and easy to see the seam when these things are away. Don't worry about them. But there is a but. See how the stitching is undone. It's coming off from the fabric itself, because the fabric started fraying here. Can you see closer? What happened? They didn't put any reinforcement along the edge. It doesn't need to be done all the time, but in this case the stitching comes closer to the edge, and then at the very close part, when it comes too close to the fabric frayed, and that's why it happened. Let's continue with this one. What I did with this one, first of all, we turn it inside out so you can see that access the inside properly. On. Those are the holes we're gonna work with. So reinforcement is important, so we're gonna do a bit of reinforcement first. Let's do the machining now. The reinforcement is done on both sides. I'll show you how they look like on both sides of each hole. So it goes under the machine, but it's important to find out the stitching, where it ends and where it broken. What's left, turn it inside out again and have a look. We finished now the stitching. Check-up time. Let's have a look how it works. I'll show you the side. That's one side. That's the second one. Looks okay to me. Nice and smooth. The joints are fine, and it's reinforced inside so it wouldn't happen again. That's the most important part. And the inside looks like that. Still, what we need to do now, that just cover the hole, machine it back, and that's all done. The rest is going to be by top stitching layers together like this, going right through the edge about 1 millimeter. Trim it nicely. See, that's the outside seam, outside machining with little edge there. That's inside, it doesn't matter. This type of garment, nice to do it out nicely from inside and out. One other type of alteration, which is very interesting one. People get something into the zip and they try to undo that. Fabrics get stuck into the zip, and fixing it and taking the fabric away safely, it's not always possible. So very often we end up with the hole. This is the case, one of the cases. So in order to release the item, the fabric from the zip, the option was just to cut the fabric. Unfortunately, we had similar situation with the same top before, so I remember the top, First time we ended up with some old seam at the back. That was the old seam. Can you see two seams? They're almost in the middle of the back. So that's the back section with the two splits on the sides. We had the seam already at the back on towards the right side. Now we ended up with another seam towards this side. The seam was done technically. It's like a French seam because we don't want to have any overlooking showing on either side. So I'm going to finish it. That's the right side. I'm going to cut it thinly for about 1/2 centimeter wide and then turn it the other way and do French seam. I slightly steamed the seam a bit to make it a bit flat. Now use very good sharp scissors. Works well with the fine fabric. If the scissor is not sharp enough, if you just don't make a sharp cut, which is important in this case to have a nice and even cut. Okay, as I explained, we're going to end up with very fine finish, so we need to leave only 1/2 centimeter here on one side to be able to turn it the other way and then end up with a very fine French seam. It's really important to do fine job here. I really want you to have a look how fine it should be. So just pulling slightly this way to have that clean edge here. Can you see how it is? Really fine edge here. And I'm going to keep it tight and pulled to be able to get that nice finish. And the length of the stitching is about 3, not quite 3, 2.8 probably. It doesn't have to be too small or too big. And the pressure here is very important, nice and flat, and keeping only half of that foot here, like keeping about 1/2 centimeter. Hopefully you can see what's happening here. I'm trying to do work with one hand, so one hand only, so you can see the stitching. Oh, not bad, huh? I think we can work with one hand. I want to finish it nicely, so excuse me for a second. You can see the finished work in a second. Final touches. You can see the seam finished. That's the seam. You can see the width. It's about 1/2 centimeter, similar to the other one. And I'm gonna press it. By the way, pressing is also important towards the inside. Okay, that's the center back. So we're gonna pull it, push it down towards the center at the back. You've seen me doing the shortening of pants. I think if you check my previous videos, you can see how to cut them when the measurement is done. I finished the marking already on this one, and unfortunately I cut it already, so excuse myself if you didn't catch that part, but it's already marked, all the layers, both sides of each leg. So we're going to finish it with the machining. I just wanted to show you only the part of the picking the right color and then machining. We go with the original color. I want to bring it closer to you so you can see the color of the thread. We're going to try to find the original. If you can't find in one bobbin exact right color bobbin, as you can see, it's not that easy. You know, it's a bit of faded look. There's no clear color. This is shade of something. We find we mix the colors, like in art as well. If you want to get the color, you mix the colors. Exactly the same. The machine is threaded. The top is blue, exactly like this blue, and the inside the bobbin is the color that we just created and I showed you, the mixed color. Now, starting from inside leg, I think I showed you before how we do the pants, machining the pants, the hem. It's going to be simple machining as original. Okay, we almost finished for today. Hopefully you learned something from here. It was a quiet day today, so it's time to wrap it up and go. I'll see you next time. Put your comments down below and ask me questions if you need to know more. So see you next time. Bye bye.